What if the life millions of people dream about comes with a side that very few ever see? For Taylor Swift, worldwide fame has brought extraordinary success, unforgettable moments, and a connection with fans that spans generations. But behind the bright lights and sold-out stadiums is a reality she has spoken about many times. Being constantly watched can be exhausting, and staying strong in that environment requires more than talent. Her journey offers a powerful reminder that choosing a life in the spotlight also means learning how to handle the pressure that comes with it. At the center of Taylor Swift's story is a decision she made long before she became one of the biggest names in music. She chose to pursue the life of an artist. That choice sounds simple, but its consequences became increasingly complicated as her career grew. Every new album brought more attention, every public appearance created another conversation, and every personal moment could potentially become part of a much larger story. Yet instead of stepping away from the challenge, Taylor continued building her career while learning how to navigate an environment where privacy can be difficult to protect. What makes her story especially interesting is that Taylor has never presented fame as something completely effortless. She has openly discussed the emotional demands that can come with being recognized everywhere and having people form opinions about your life based on limited information. That reality can create an unusual kind of pressure. A performer is expected to be confident, creative, consistent, and constantly visible, while also being human enough to make mistakes and change over time. For Taylor, learning to balance those expectations became part of growing into the person and artist she wanted to become. Behind the success, another challenge has remained constant: criticism. When someone reaches Taylor's level of fame, almost every decision can attract attention. A new song can be analyzed, a performance can be discussed, and even a simple public appearance can generate speculation. The important part of her journey is not that she somehow escaped criticism, but that she gradually developed a stronger sense of who she was. Instead of allowing every outside opinion to define her, she learned to place greater value on her own creative direction and the people she trusts. That shift became particularly meaningful because Taylor's career has evolved so dramatically over the years. She began as a young songwriter with a guitar and a dream, then moved through different musical eras while repeatedly challenging expectations. Country music gave way to pop experimentation, intimate songwriting, alternative influences, and entirely new creative approaches. Each transformation required confidence because changing direction always creates uncertainty, but Taylor repeatedly demonstrated that staying strong does not necessarily mean remaining exactly the same. Sometimes strength means having the courage to grow. Perhaps the most powerful lesson from her experience is that pressure does not automatically disappear when success arrives. In many cases, greater success can bring greater expectations. When audiences become emotionally invested in an artist, they naturally want more music, more performances, and more access. But maintaining a sustainable career requires boundaries, perspective, and the ability to recognize when personal well-being matters. Taylor's journey shows how important it can be to create space between the public version of a person and the private individual who still needs ordinary moments away from the spotlight. And then there is the relationship between Taylor and her fans. That connection has become one of the defining parts of her career. Her songs often turn complicated emotions into stories that listeners can recognize in their own lives. A fan may hear one lyric and remember a relationship, a difficult chapter, a friendship, or a moment when they needed to keep going. That emotional connection helps explain why Taylor's career has become about more than chart positions. For many listeners, her music has become a soundtrack to their own experiences. Still, choosing this life has meant accepting that perfection is impossible. No matter how successful someone becomes, there will always be moments that do not go according to plan. There will be criticism, uncertainty, exhaustion, and difficult decisions. What matters is how a person responds to those moments. Taylor's story is compelling because she has continued moving forward rather than waiting for every challenge to disappear. Her resilience has been built through experience, reflection, reinvention, and the willingness to keep creating. That is where the idea of, "she chose this life," becomes more meaningful. It is not simply about choosing fame. It is about choosing the work, the creativity, the connection with an audience, and the responsibility that come with being an artist at an enormous scale. Taylor chose songwriting. She chose performance. She chose to keep evolving. And with those choices came challenges that she had to learn to manage along the way. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is that strength does not always look dramatic. Sometimes strength is simply continuing to create when expectations feel overwhelming. Sometimes it is protecting your peace when everyone wants an explanation. Sometimes it is accepting that you cannot control every opinion and choosing to focus instead on the things you can control. Taylor Swift's career demonstrates how resilience can become a quiet, long-term practice rather than a single defining moment. And that may be why her story continues to resonate so strongly. Taylor Swift is not simply an example of someone who achieved extraordinary fame. She is an example of someone who has spent years learning what that fame demands and deciding how she wants to respond. Her journey suggests that success is not only about reaching the top. It is also about discovering how to remain grounded once you get there. So, when people look at the massive stages, the awards, the records, and the worldwide attention, there is another part of the story worth remembering. Behind all of it is a person who made a choice, faced the pressure that followed, adapted as life changed, and continued moving forward. Fame may have transformed the scale of Taylor Swift's life, but her ability to keep choosing creativity, growth, and resilience is what makes the journey so compelling. What do you think about Taylor Swift's approach to fame and pressure? Do you think choosing a life in the spotlight is worth the challenges that come with it? Or do you believe protecting your private life should always come first? How do you see Taylor's journey developing in the future? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.